we got lost there, Robert.
Okay,
Anyway.
so here we're at part 2. Part 1,
Okay.
we're talking about clay, salts, lactic,
Yes.
hydrochloric acid, stomach acid, restless leg syndrome, shingles. These are all symptoms of buildup of acidic waste in the interstitial fluids of the interstitium, which is the largest organ of the human body and encompasses all the fluids that surround the cells. So makes up 80% of the extracellular fluids, where blood only makes up 20%. So it's when you're looking at 100% of the fluids, then you can actually determine the efficacy of any type of treatment, whether it's effective or not. But this protocol, the pH Miracle protocol, deals specifically with not the disease or disease. It deals specifically with the environment that then expresses the disease. All diseases are just symptoms of something else. That's something else which is not explained or described by the doctor is a result of a compromised internal fluid environment. So if you can get fluids moving and eliminating, this is the key. So I mentioned the 4 salts because 4 salts is a buffer for metabolic, dietary, environmental, and respiratory acid. But you have to increase circulation and elimination, because it's one thing to neutralize it, it's the other thing to get these chelated acids out of the body. So we talked about the clay. We're talking about infrared sauna as a means to move acids out of the body. So rather than going, let's say, to the hospital, you set up your own ICU unit at your home so that, you know, the treatment is done at home and it's in control of you in your own space, rather than have to go outside that space, unless there's a serious emergency to deal with that. But that generally is not a healthy solution. But you do what you have to do. So
you mentioned the infrared wavelength of light. That's where we got cut off.
Yeah, the wavelength of light stimulates to the bone, which activates circulation and opens up the pores of the skin to allow these interstitial wastes to come out through the pores of the skin, which is one of many of the elimination organs. The skin being the largest. You know, of course, you have the urinary tract system, the bowels, and of course the lungs, where you're removing various liquids and gases out through these orifices to help the body maintain its delicate pH balance at 7.365. You have to support it if you want to continue life. The interesting thing that I learned from a Nobel laureate, his name was Alexis Carrel. He actually discovered how to live forever. Now, I know he passed away. The reason why is because he was practicing these principles on chickens rather than on humans.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what his lifestyle and diet was like, but what he determined is he could keep organs alive outside the body indefinitely. In fact, he kept a chicken heart by making these alkalizing mineral changes and managing the elimination of waste and the alkalization of the tissue for 20 years. So the chicken heart was pumping, cells were dividing. You had to shave off some of the tissue, but here again, it was changing every 72 hours. So the elimination of waste is very, very important. And this is what's happened to your mother, is she's built up so much waste that it's coming out other orifices. Now, if the body cannot eliminate waste, it stores it into the connective tissue, i.e. the muscles, i.e. restless leg syndrome. Okay, and it affects the extremities because the body pushes this waste out away from the organs that sustain life. So that's why they call it restless leg and not restless heart or kidney. But when it affects those, of course, then you have higher, liver enzyme expressions on blood tests, or kidneys the same way, lungs the same way. Interstitial fluid lung disease is the cause of all of these respiratory diseases. They're not diseases at all, they're just symptoms. So if you have a dry cough, you have a fever, if you have low energy, that's interstitial fluid lung disease, which is directly related to the alkalinity of the fluids of the lungs. So this program helps all organs and all organ systems. So the infrared sauna stimulates lymphatic circulation and the release of interstitial fluid through the pores of the skin. And you can read a little bit more on that on my blog. That's at foreveryoung.com, but you can do a search on infrared sauna, but Forever Young is spelled PHOREVERYOUNG.com. Just hit the blog, do a search on the infrared sauna information, and you'll find quite a bit there about infrared sauna.
Yep.
There's a few videotapes on it too. So
of yourself, Robert. Yeah.
Yes.
Talking about it.
Yeah, you can find that under playlist under Dr. Robert Young on YouTube. But there's close to 1,000 videos there under playlist. I think just in the last what would it be? Just the last few months, actually the last 9 months since this pandemic's been going on, that I posted about 120 video interviews, conferences, lectures, testimonials, what have you. Yeah. So
I like the pandemic.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, it's very organized, very planned. It's a worldwide effort. I mean, everybody has their opinion about why, or what is going on. Some people have no opinion at all, or just accept the illusion that something is actually going on with the so-called phantom virus. But anyway, virus in Latin means poison. So now we're back to acids again. See, so poisons are the chemical wastes or the exposure to air pollution, which is the third leading cause of death in the world. And if you'd never, living in Wimbledon versus London, you already know what the difference is as it relates to air pollution, air quality. There's significant difference. But if you're living in one of the largest industrial cities of the world, Wuhan, it's amazing that anybody's alive there, let alone the electrical pollution. One of the things that will help your mother is to protect her against electromagnetic frequencies, particularly from Wi-Fi and other things. Now, I'm not suggesting that you shut everything down, even though electrical pollution and magnetic pollution are two different things. The magnetic field is measured in milligauss, but anything over 5 milligauss is detrimental to the human body. Well, cars are running at about 100 to 150 milligauss. They have a field of energy, particularly electric cars, which can be as high as 300 milligauss. I call them cancer cars. But you have to protect yourself from Wi-Fi, which is probably one of the major contributing factors to illness in the world today. And it doesn't matter what generation it is. When I was in London in 1999, with Dr. Beverly Rubik, we were doing a double-blinded study on electromagnetic fields and the effect of that radiation in employees at BBC that were being exposed to these fields of energy over, 6 to 8 hours, 10 hours of time. It's highly detrimental. It causes pathological blood coagulation and leads to all the symptoms that are now part of this pandemic. So EMF is one of the major contributing factors to illness. Whether you want to ignore it or not, it's invisible, but it is a real contributing factor. People have always asked me, how come I feel so tired when I'm flying around? I said, because you're exposed to 150 to 300 milligauss of magnetic radiation. And when, after being exposed to that, particularly when you're flying overseas, doesn't matter whether you're in first class or coach, everybody goes off the plane feeling like they just got hit by a truck. It's nicer, conveniently to be in first class, as you can rest laying down rather than sitting up, but the exposure to EMF is equally, and it's higher sitting closer to the Rolls-Royce engines, that put off a tremendous amount of electromagnetic energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at, maybe rather than using Wi-Fi, using a hard line, fiber optics will eliminate and reduce that electrical field. You can also get a EMF meter, and you can check the EMF in your own home to see what her exposure is to EMF, and then make the necessary changes that I've recommended in many of my journal articles that you can find at drrobertyoung.com/blog. There's a scientific area there at drrobertyoung.com that you can read about the effects of electromagnetic frequencies on the human biofield. The question is, what do you do about it? You need to reinforce. You need to have an apparatus to protect your own vibrational frequency, and the technology is called sympathetic resonant technology, and it harmonizes with your own body frequency, creating.
I lost that, Robert. What is the technology is called?
It's called.
Say that again, because it all.
Yeah, it's called sympathetic resonant technology. The acronym is SRT. SRT, very simply, is contained within this pendant, and the center of that is crystal. Outside is 150 feet of copper, and the copper expands the field, expands your field of protection. And we published this in 2001 in the International Journal of Complementary and Alternative and Complementary Medicine. The results of this were quite significant, both comparing the placebo or the in a double-blinded study, the placebo Q-link and the active one, even though it's passive. What it does, it works like a tuning fork, and it connects to this apparatus, which is at the heart chakra. It's there because the heart is beating. It's putting off photons and light, and that sound is picked up by this technology, and then reinforces that field of energy. So whatever's coming at you, it can't take you off that frequency. You're already locked in. So it locks in your frequency and thus protects you from outside fields of energy coming in. So just wearing something like this could help her tremendously with her condition.
Yeah,
it can help her. So when you talk about delusional, or if you're talking about these states of change on a mental state that takes place, those could be triggered by electromagnetic frequencies. It's like she's short circuiting. electrically, since our bodies are electrical, you know, we run on electrons, not on carbohydrates or proteins or fats. Our body uses electrical energy, photons of light, which is converted into electrons, or food that donates electrons. So in my book, The pH Miracle, Revised and Updated, I have a list of foods that you can, you know, that will actually donate electrons, and foods that scavenger electrons, or they use up electrons. And those are the acid foods. So alkaline water, alkaline food, clean air, clean water, you know, something to support the alkaline design of the body, you know, which incorporates potassium and sodium bicarbonate, something that neutralizes inflammation, magnesium chloride. These are the things that can make a difference. What I didn't talk about was improved circulation. And improving circulation while you're alkalizing, you can use 3 amino acids of L-arginine, L-citrulline, and L-ornithine combined together in a synergistic combination of ingredients, which also contains K1 and vitamin D3. And getting her outside and getting some D3 is, you know, of course, in London, there's not a lot of sun, but especially in the winter months, but you need to be supplementing vitamin D3, and you can pick that up. I would try to get the highest dosage that you can, which would be probably in England. I think they limit it to about 2,000 international units, but ideally she should be up around 40 to 50,000. In a product called L-arginine Max, it contains 5,000 units of vitamin D3, in addition to the magnesium chloride and the 3 aminos, which help to improve circulation. And that will help her legs tremendously. Is she having any problems with neuropathy? Like, is she having cold hands, cold feet, or needles stinging in her toes or her feet? Is she feeling any pain in her extremities, hands, feet?
Not that she's regularly reported, no. She had a lot of retained fluid on her.
Yeah, touch her feet and see if they're
Sorry?
cold. Yeah, you know, you can touch her feet and see if they're cold. Is she wearing socks to keep her feet warm?
Sometimes, yeah.
Anyway,
You're
this
right.
will
Yeah,
help
she does,
circulation.
actually.
Circulation will help, you know, all of these problems as you're using the salts. The product's called L-arginine Max, and it's a combination of antioxidants and aminos with some vitamins like vitamin B3 niacinamide, which to help her with her mental condition, I would start taking B3 in the form of niacinamide. That's the form. That's without the flush. But niacinamide B3 can help to calm her and also keep her her mental function more towards a normal expression. So this would be one, but that's also included in the L-arginine Max. So you just take a scoop of that, put it in approximately 2 ounces or 120 mLs of water, and then you put the 1 scoop of the L-arginine in, and you do that several times throughout the day. In combination with the salts and the L-arginine, that's going to help her tremendously. So circulation, alkalization, energizing her body, you know, using niacinamide, you know, to help with the mental and emotional states, And then from there, you're talking about blood building. So blood building is very important because the quality of the blood determines the quality of all body cells. So there you want to look at introducing high chlorophyll content foods. So green fruit, like avocado, cucumber, and green vegetables like broccoli, leafy greens, spinach. And I would get a juicer or a Vitamix and start blending foods so that it's all pre-digested for her. I would treat her more like a baby, that didn't have any teeth, and everything that you feed the baby has to be in a pureed. So baby food, when I say baby food, I don't mean go out and buy baby food, but you put it in a blender and let the blender do the blending.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Good job.
Yeah. I talked about 5 or 6 areas that are very important. In chapter 5 of the pH Miracle Revised and Updated, it talks about it. The chapter is called COWS. COWS is an acronym that stands for chlorophyll, oil, water, and salt. And it talks about it specifically about what that lifestyle looks like. And then what you have is in chapter 11, you have actually the whole protocol. So the protocol is outlined there specifically what you do throughout the day. So it's more organized in that fashion. I can, when I send you over these tapes, these videos that we recorded, what I can do is I can include a list of the foods to eat, the foods not to eat. Okay, and I can also summarize, some of the areas of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll try to keep it to around 10 areas of focus rather than some extensive thing at 50 or 60 areas of focus.
Yeah, that's great, Robert. That will really be helpful.
Yeah, so I'll take some time. Hopefully I can get to that today, but if not, it'll be on. I'll get to it as soon as I can. Okay, but at least you have some notes.
Yeah.
I think now what you can do is check out Whole Foods. You can check out Boots. Another thing that I didn't mention is nebulization, and you can go to Boots and pick up a nebulizer, and then nebulize this alkaline water. Like 5 mLs in the receptor. 5 mLs, you can nebulize that and get it into the interstitial fluids of the lung. There's a couple of other things that you can nebulize that will help reduce some of the ethanol alcohol. Not that she's drinking that, but if she's sanitizing her hands or washing with soaps, there's sodium lauryl sulfates, there's toxins in cleansers that get into the interstitial fluid. And by nebulizing N-acetylcysteine and glutathione at 5 mLs each, you can do that very simply with a nebulizer, and this will help her breathing. This will help her breathe better. It'll also help clear her sinuses. So I'll put some information in on that so that you have it. But you try to work every orifice that you can to help her. But I would immediately get her in a clay salt bath. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And this interstitial fluid, I read a little bit on your website, as I'm understanding. Okay. I mean, when I read that, that's the fluid that really, what I'm hearing from you is when that's at the right pH balance, as you showed in the test at the beginning.
Yes.
That will start to, if she's more in that blue, in that pH,
yeah,
we get that into
right.
that right
yeah,
balance.
that's right here.
Clear out something. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it's important that you check this regularly because it's like the ocean has ebbs and tides. Our pH goes in ebbs and tides. She's just starting at a lower level. Her ebbs and tides are running probably from 5.5 up to 6.5. She needs to be running between 7.8 or to 8 up to 9. So we're talking about tens of thousands of times, since it's exponential, of saturation of alkalinity needs to be tens to hundreds of thousands of times greater than where she's at right now. And this is going to improve the quality of her life and the quantity of her life, so she can then go back to work and do the things she loves to do and feel like life is worth living. You don't have to die at 96.
No, I like it. I like that. Well, she certainly hasn't. She's a lady who wants to just continue. She doesn't see her age, but this has stopped her. This has caused her a lot of problems. So thank you, Robert. It's good. Thank you.
All right, Gordon. It's nice chatting with you, and hopefully this will
and keep up, Robert. Keep up the good work you're doing. I saw you on Thrive.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Thrive too. Yeah, myself and also Dr. Galina Magalko. Yeah. This is, my detractors would say this is not real. This is probably the most real, solution to the human health condition that you can get. And the reason it's not popular, because that's not one of the outcomes, is to improve quality and quantity of life. People are supposed to die at 60 or 65 or 70, but people are living longer. I'm not saying they're living better, but they're living longer, and it's just the illusion that this is contributing to excess population is unfortunate. But, I hope to meet your mother, in better spirits and better health conditions. And I look forward to that too. Anyway, say hello to her. All my best.
I will do, Robert.
This holiday season, this new year, and take care. Okay.
You too.
Thanks, Gordon.
Take care. Thank you, Robert. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.